Welcome back. What a shout, 2021. Who'd have thought we'd have ever got here? But we rush into the new year with a bang. Happy New Year to you wherever you are. Let's hope you enjoyed it responsibly wherever you were. Not quite as we know it, but signs of optimism. We're going to be positive here on What a Shout. Myself, Dave Orton, delighted to be back recording on the 1st of January. Happy New Year's Day then to you. Who have we got on the panel? Graeme Rodway comes back in.
Yeah, hello Dave. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, you had you had a late one, didn't you? You look all right.
It was a fairly late one, yeah. We were still going at sort of 1:30, 2 o'clock.
You've got Canadian in-laws, haven't you? So you suppose you had to.
Yeah, they were all on the video chat, and we had a bit of a sort of Anglo-Canadian party going on. Of course, so over in Canada, they're 5 hours behind, so it wasn't the middle of the night for them. But for us, yeah, we were going on to about 1:30 when I decided I should turn it in because we got to be in nice and early this morning.
Pre-2020, you'd probably just have had to have a phone call, wouldn't you? And then you could have sacked it off. But now everyone's on Zoom.
That's right, yeah, it's completely different now. And I got one of those things called the Facebook portal. You ever seen one of those?
No.
It's like a little digital photo frame and it follows you around the room, so you don't even have to hold it. It's makes video calling a lot easier.
You're a pro. Okay then. First wisdom from Graeme Rodway. Now, I don't know how we got on last night. Let's see where Pat Cooney is from our sponsors, Bet365. Are you alive, Pat?
Yes, just about. Good morning. Happy New Year to everyone. Yeah, I pulled up with a lap to go, to be honest. I'm a bit of a bit of a lightweight when it comes to this celebration lark, but plenty of New Year's resolutions, and I'm going to try and be a good boy this year.
Absolutely. Okay, so look, it's this time of year, isn't it, when we're battling the elements, but Cheltenham off, of course, but we do have a Tolworth hurdle to preview, and a Grade 1 jockey comes on the show. 27 of them he rode. Noel Fehily joins us.
Morning, everyone. Happy New Year to you all.
Great to have you on, Noel. Let's start off by, as we ever do with the guests, of course, I said to you just before we came on air, how many career winners did you ride? Because you came over in 1998, joined Charlie Mann, if I'm right. It was November 98 at Plumpton, of all places. Ivy Boy was your first winner. How many did you ride in total, though, Noel?
1,353, I think it was, yeah.
Blimey.
So,
oh, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, okay, 317 of those we counted for Charlie Mann, and he was the guy that really sprung you to stardom, wasn't he?
That's right, yeah. I rode first winner, obviously, for Charlie, Ivy Boy at Plumpton, and rode quite a lot for Charlie for probably 10 or 15 years. Rode my first Grade 1 winner for Charlie, and had a great time, yeah.
Remind us the name of that chap.
First Grade 1?
Yeah.
Punches Down. What was it called? You sprung it on me.
That memorable.
I think I might have been there. Was it Air Force One?
Air Force One.
Yeah, I was there that day.
I tell you what, 2021 promises a lot, doesn't it? But I never thought you'd rescue us on that front. Absolutely remarkable.
Just sticks in my mind that win.
And of course now, yeah, now you remember the horse, don't you? Of course, but Noel, it's fair to say, isn't it, that while Air Force One, the memorable Air Force One, while it was the second half of your career which really took off, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Look, I suppose it takes a long time to get on a good horse, and it took me a long time to get on a few good horses, but, riding a Grade 1 winner on Air Force One was probably the first one, and then I was lucky enough to get on a few better ones after that. Rock on Ruby, Masterminded, plenty of them probably helped me along the way,
Yeah, Rock on Ruby, 2002 champion hurdle. I think we could agree that was the one where it just took off. You became a go-to man. Put you on the spot again, Noel. Who was the most talented horse you rode?
I suppose difficult question. Difficult question because the likes of Bouvardere was really exciting over a hurdle. He was so rapid over hurdles. But then Epatante was a brilliant horse over 3 miles, so very different horses, but brilliant horses. Mastermind was brilliant. Altior was really exciting as a novice. They were all brilliant horses in different trips and different sort of levels,
Oh, that was a great answer to that. It must be very enjoyable if you know being asked that question, mustn't it? Just Altior, just Masterminded, Bouvardere, of course, with that association with Jared Sullivan.
Yeah, just reel them off. I was actually looking, it's like 13 years since Masterminded won this handicap chase at Sandown on the card on Saturday. And what a star he went on to be.
Yeah, okay, we'll be previewing that race as we go along. Sorry, Noel, did you want to say something about Masterminded there? Did you? I mean,
is it that long ago since Masterminded won at Sandown?
I mean, we're all getting a little bit greyer, aren't we? No more so than the big bear next to me, of course. But that makes me feel better about coming in here on New Year's Day. I've got to tell you that much. And also, of course, you've got your owners syndicate now, Noel. It's been a smooth transition pretty much, hasn't it? Every Saturday I seem to see you celebrating with a load of owners. You know, even in 2020, you've made it count, haven't you?
Yeah, the Noel Fehily Racing Syndicate's gone really well. We started it up just over a year ago. But we've had some nice winners. Come on, Teddy won at Cheltenham there a couple of weeks back. He was very nice. He was meant to be running today at Cheltenham, but unfortunately that's been abandoned. But no, we've got a nice team of horses together. Myself and David Cross are doing it together, and it's been good fun and sort of keeps me in the whole sort of racing circle, and it keeps the competitive side sort of going.
Yeah, David Cross, of course, just retired over the Christmas period, which wish him luck annoying you more along the ownership roads. And I made it I think I made it 11 from 43 you've had for an £8 level profit. That's pretty good, isn't it? And Pat Cooney's got a question for you.
Yeah, no, it's a question from our social media team. They're big fans of Muckamore, who, of course, has an entry at Exeter today. And they were just wondering, is he still the horse you have the highest hopes for out of all the horses in the syndicate? I know you have some decent ones on the horizon, but they're all big Muckamore fans in the office.
Yeah, look, I still like the horse a lot. He was very disappointing first time out. He was scoped with stomach ulcers after that. So we're hoping that was the reason he ran so bad. He's working well, schooling well. So, look, if he's back to anywhere near what we thought he was going to be, I'd like to think he'd be very competitive today.
Yes, excellent. Of course, hopefully running at Exeter today. If not, look out for him on heavy ground in the future. We're off and running in 2021. Let's see what we've got on the show for you. Hot topic. We'll have a little look back at the year that was 2020. But looking forward to 2021, the racing clues from the past week. We'll be previewing the big races, including the Grade 1 Tolworth at Sandown. You'll have your big calls from the panellists and, of course, the weekend winners. Hot topic time then. 2020, the year that was, the year that's gone. I'll tell you what, we need to buckle up, don't we? Because we knew we had to get through the winter. It's going to be a bumpy ride, but hope is around the corner. 2020 then, I'm going to ask you to somehow summarise it.
Yeah, it was a tough year, wasn't it? But having said that, I don't think it was a terrible year for racing. You know, when you look at racing, with everyone being locked down indoors, the viewing figures, particularly for like ITV, they've gone skyrocketing, haven't they? You know, lots of people seem to be watching the racing now. They're indoors all the time, which is great, bringing the sport to a new audience. Obviously, we had Holly Doyle as well. Fantastic year for Holly, obviously going on to finish third in the sports personality. I think there's plenty of positives to be taken from
Bryony Frost
racing.
winning a King George.
Absolutely, that just put the icing on the cake, didn't it, over Christmas? So obviously, yeah, it's been a tough year, but it's not all been bad for racing. Yeah,
a lot of people have said to me, you know, when I met them and they've asked me about What a Shout, they're like, you're always banging on about female jockeys. Are you banging that drum a bit too much? But the wider appeal for racing is huge. Do you remember when football wasn't back and racing had that month or two window, didn't it? Royal Ascot in particular.
Yeah, and I think that is what has helped, you know, ITV gain such a big audience. And of course, it is a great sport because it is a sport where women and men can compete pretty much on a level playing field.
ITV have had a great year, haven't they? I mean, bringing the terrestrial television on days where, you know, to tracks, for example. Pat, you went to Perth, didn't you, with them, for example?
Oh, yeah, they're not afraid to travel to new venues as well. I say going to Perth was excellent, and I think they're off to the tracks like Kells. So they've really got behind, shall we say, the lesser lights when it comes to meetings. And as G-Rod says, like, the viewing figures have been incredible. And racing has been a little bit lucky, hasn't it? There's been no Olympics, you know, on the horizon as well this year. So racing had pretty much a free run at it, and to everyone's credit, it was a real success, so onwards and upwards.
Yeah, and your highlight of 2020, Pat, the classics were interesting, weren't they?
Well, none more. So I think 2020 was summed up with Turpentine's run in the Epsom Derby. He won at the Curragh the week before, and I said to our national hunt enthusiast, there's your Triumph Hurdle winner. Make sure we keep him on side when it comes to Cheltenham next March. And then a week later, he rocks up and he wins the Epsom Derby, that was 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, let's come to you then, Noel. Of course, the 48-hour decks, Noel, finally coming in for jumps racing. That was a big move, wasn't it?
It is a big move, and I suppose it's worked quite well. It's not going to suit everyone, especially when the ground and the frost and everything's about now. With meetings being abandoned, that's not going to suit everyone. But I think it's working quite well.
Yeah, and your personal highlight, one of your horses, for example, you had a big Cheltenham winner, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a nice Cheltenham win a couple of weeks ago. Come on, Teddy. So that was absolutely brilliant for the syndicate and all the people involved. So look, he was obviously meant to be running today, but unfortunately the meeting's off. But we look forward to him in 2021, hopefully.
And when you've got a horse, a young horse, slightly exposed still, that likes Cheltenham, you know where I'm going with this, don't you? What's the plan?
Well, it's quite possibly we might qualify him for the Thames final at the festival. There's a nice race coming up for him. There's a Warwick race and there's a Sandown race in a couple of weeks' time. So, look, we'll speak to Tom George and see what he thinks. But I would think we'd take in one of them, and quite possibly the Thames final, let's say, would be the main target, maybe.
That's 2020 then. Look out for Come On, Teddy, in 2021. Going forward then, what are we looking forward to? There's all sorts of initiatives that might be coming into racing this year. Street racing is one. That's coming back, by the way. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I've seen the plans for it. It could get quite interesting, couldn't it?
Over London Bridge or something like that. Amazing.
Well, that is really one of the things that I've been banging the drum about for a while, is that there's a lot of talk about getting younger people into racing. I just don't think there's enough talk about getting younger inner city urban people from urban areas into racing, and particularly from a diverse background. You know, if you tend to be a lot of sort of people in the country. It's a bit of a country sport. But I mean, I came from London and absolutely loved racing, so there's no reason why the sport can't be successful and attract people from urban areas too.
Yeah, concentrate on what's exciting about the sport, and it should filter through, shouldn't it? Also, Racing League. Well, this is something we're going to have to deal with, isn't it? The Racing League. All the top trainers are signed up to this, you know.
I know, yeah. This is an interesting one, isn't it? I've never really been able to get my head around the idea of racing being a team sport. I've always
thought Cup being the model for us.
I've always thought, to be honest, I actually like the Shergar Cup. It is one of my highlights of the season, but I've never been able to get my head around the general idea of a longer term team aspect to it. So we'll see how it goes. You've got to give everything a chance. You know, you don't knock it till you tried it. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. Hopefully, it's really successful.
Could you imagine? I mean, in the world that we're hoping for in 2021, race goers potentially back at Cheltenham in March.
Well, let's hope that's our number one hope for 2021, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the world to go back to normal racing, to have all the fans back. I mean, we've had a few meetings where we've had 1,000 or 2,000 on the track, and of course at some of the smaller meetings you probably wouldn't have got more than that anyway. But the real big meetings have missed the atmosphere, haven't they? The big roars, for the winners. Imagine had Stradivarius when he came home 10, 15 laps clear. Had there been a crowd in there that day, it would have gone nuts. So let's just hope we can get crowds back.
Yeah, Cheltenham in March might be a bit too soon, but this time next year, I think we'll all get hangovers from the King George. Okay, racing clues from the festive period. Noel Fehily, I want to come to you first. What did you make of the King George, Noel? Frodon.
Look, it was a brilliant performance by Frodon, I thought, and a great ride by Bryony Frost. She probably stole it from the front. Jumped fantastic as he normally does. But look, I suppose some of the horses in behind were very disappointing. Clandazovo probably didn't run his race. Suriname didn't look like he ran his race. But San Calvados, I suppose, and Santini were the other two horses to take out of the race for going forward.
That's interesting, isn't it? I'd definitely be with the former. I'm not sure about the latter. He still confuses me a little bit. A King George that will be remembered, not just for Bryony and the ride, obviously, on Frodon, but for the flops?
Yeah, but it's become a bit like that, hasn't it? I'm starting to lose count over the years of how many high-profile horses have flopped in the King George. The only person who seems to be able to get there in top form is Paul Nicholls, isn't it? He always seems to have them absolutely spot on for that race. What's he won it, 12 times?
Yeah,
or something,
12 times.
Something ridiculous like that. But over the years, there has been a series of high-profile flops in the race who some of them then went on to bounce back and win Gold Cups, didn't they? So you wouldn't put it entirely beyond the likes of Santini to go back and win a Gold Cup. Although I do feel maybe last year was his year, because this season he seems to have got his own ideas about the game a little bit. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think he needs 4 types of headgear on him, doesn't he? I don't know what, they're going to have to invent some new headgear for him.
City.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe get him racing on London Bridge. He might seem to enjoy it. I don't know. Pat Cooney, let's come to you. You managed to get a 1-6 shot beaten. Epatante.
Yeah, Epatante. Yeah, that was unusual, wasn't it? I wouldn't really write her off on the back of that, though. She almost made a bad mistake at the third last, and the winner's pretty hard to catch, isn't he? On it, and he's in good form at the moment. But I think, I was just looking at the results overall at the Christmas period, and I just think the future's in good hands. You look at the novices we've got at the moment; they could be high class in any era. You've got Sharjah, Envoy Allen, Monkfish. They're all going to be at the top of the tree when people are writing their betting slips out for the Cheltenham Festival, I'm sure. And they really look superstars as well, don't they? So, credit to Willie Mullins. He turned up at Leopardstown with some, an amazing performance. And actually, it was a question I was thinking mulling over to ask Noel about. Noel rode a 50-1 winner for Willie Mullins at the festival a few years ago. I was just wondering, what does Willie Mullins say to you when you're riding a 50-1 chance? How much confidence does he give you? The horse was Eglantine de Sol, I think, that won by a short head.
Yeah, I don't think he was fancying her very strongly that day, but...
Do you remember the finish, Noel? I mean, he literally came from nowhere, didn't you? I think you beat one of the fancied runners of his as well.
Yeah, well, I did think going there that I was riding her for honor tickets, but look, it came off. But actually, her run before that wasn't a bad run. She was third at Listowel. I think it was September time, and the 2 horses that finished in front of her had run well in the Supreme earlier in the week. So, her form wasn't actually looking that bad. But
you knew. Was that, remind me, was that the horse that convinced you that your time might be up or nearly up?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. That was.
I remember. Yeah. I remember. That was a really fantastic and emotional interview you did on television that day. Noel, I want to come to you just before we sign off. Obviously, we saw some great novice performances, as Pat alluded to. Monkfish, I think, right at the top of that. Chacun Pour Soi won well in Ireland, didn't he, despite the fact that they omitted the fences there. But what about Altior behind Nube Negra? A horse that obviously you know so well. What did you make of that, having actually ridden him in the saddle?
Yeah, I was disappointed with him. Obviously, Nicky Henderson's horses aren't firing, and I would forgive him a certain amount, but I do think he looks like he's lost that yard of pace. His jumping just looks, he always hung in the air a little bit, but he's not as quick now in between fences to me. So I'm not sure he's the Altior of old, but at the same time, I think the last day was probably too bad, so he'll be better than that next time, but I'm still not sure he's a certainty to win another champion chase.
Yeah, if anything, it looks a bit more Ryan Airy now with him, doesn't it? And Henderson said he looked for all the world like he wanted 2 mile 4. He didn't stop trying though, did he? And at what point did the public get back on the Altior bandwagon? This is a horse that beat Big Bucks' record, and because of how he's been campaigned, enough of that, they've just gone off him, haven't they? And he was a drifter on the day. He was above evens. When do they start coming back to the Altior? He didn't stop trying, G, did he? Or am I looking for something that's not there?
He's a great horse, isn't he? And all great horses have got that great resolution. You don't win, was it 15 races on the 18 on the bounce? Incredible, without having the will to win. And you never lose that, will he? He'll always have that will to win. But as Noel says, sadly, time catches up with us all at the end of the day. And he is, 11 years old now? We're into the new year. And to my eye, he looks like he's definitely on the decline.
Time catches up with us all, but has it quite yet for Altior? 150 then at Sandown. First of 4 big race previews for you here. New Year's Day, what a shout. Graeme, Rodway. 2 horses coming off the back of a full here. Moonlighter, sandwiching Ibleo and Early Delimo in the betting. Where are you going?
Yeah, that is one of my selections. Early Delimo, who did fall last time out at Ascot, and it is my only real worry about the pick, really, because when he ran at Sandown over the course and distance, I think it was his previous run, I thought it was pretty much the best piece of form on offer in the race. He was narrowly beaten by Darabin, who I think might be in this race as well. But obviously he's got a pull in the weights with Darabin for that defeat. And Darabin is a very good horse at Sandown, but again, he's not a young improving sort of horse. So I would have thought maybe a rise in the weights might be enough for early Delimo to reverse that places. But how would he come off of this fall? I mean, it was a real perler of a fall he took at Ascot last time. That is the worry. Will he be okay coming off the back of that?
Yeah, I went for Ibleo simply because when I saw he was getting weight off Moonlighter, I thought, right, this might be his big day. He bumped into Sky Pirate, didn't he? We all know about that at Cheltenham last time. Could probably be a freak on his day over 2 miles. And I looked at Moonlighter's record, and there's a lot of URs and there are RFs in there as well. And Sandown, let's come to Noel on this. If you were on one of these two favourites, Noel, coming off the back of a fall, you're staring at the railway fences. How are you going to go about it?
Yeah, I don't think it'll bother me too much because both horses have been around Sandown in the past. Early Delimo especially has a good run around Sandown in his second last start. He did take a very heavy fall at Ascot the last day, but it wouldn't bother me. Probably would have schooled him in the meantime plenty of times, and look, he'd be looking forward to the ride.
Just keep it simple then from Noel Fehily. Pat Cooney, how did you take this race?
Well, I just ended up fancying Ibleo. I thought he had a very solid profile. He almost won on his reappearance. And he was second to Sky Pirate last time out, the rejuvenated Sky Pirate. I'm reading that he lost his right hind shoe, Ibleo. I don't think that made any difference to the result, though. One thing I was disappointed with, he went up £3 for finishing second to Sky Pirate. Now, he only beat 5 horses that day. There were 2 fallers in the race. I'd be a bit miffed if I owned him and I went up £3 for finishing second to Sky Pirates. But that being said, it became more and more automatic as a selection for me. He's in form. Phoenicia Williams, soft ground. I think he's going to be hard to beat, and he does jump well.
150 at Sandown then. No masterminded, but it's going to be a 2 mile handicap to savour. Grade 1 action now then to get our teeth stuck into here on What a Shout. It is the 225, the Grade 1 Tolworth for the novice hurdlers. We're going to have a short price one of this, aren't we? Metier, he's really impressed me the last couple of times, especially at Ascot last time.
He looks very, very good, doesn't he? And he has won on heavy ground, obviously Newton Abbott in October, although how Newton Abbott heavy ground in October compares to Sandown heavy ground in the middle of January, probably not quite as testing.
Yeah.
He did go round Sandown on soft ground very well, but this race usually does go to a National Hunt type.
It does.
I think the last All-Star one on the flat and then go on to win it was Lingo, who was back in 2004. So you're talking a long, long time ago since a flat horse went and won it. So yeah, I mean, he looks very, very good, but you would have that little doubt in the back of your mind about whether he's got the stamina to see off the National Hunt types.
Who's the selection then?
I think Metier will win, but that is the main worry for me. Does he really want it this testing?
Let's go to Noel. Noel, you had obviously a cracking association with Harry Fry. He trains Metier. Flat recruits though, they don't have a great record in this.
No, but I think this horse he was a very high class flat horse. He was a 90 plus flat horse. Was a staying horse on the flat and went on soft ground on the flat. I think he's a very good horse. He looked very good at Ascot the last time when he had to make his own running, and I think he'll be very hard to beat. I think he's the real deal.
With Do Your Job in there's a good chance that he might get a lead now, isn't there? That horse got into a duel, if you remember. At Haydock. He'll like the ground as well. Pat Cooney, who's going to go off favourite in this? Metier, clear favourite.
Yeah, Metier's a clear favourite, and he has looked visually impressive, hasn't he? But this is his hardest task so far. I actually ended up fancying Galise Macalo for the Mrs. Jane Williams team. And this is a horse whose course is getting £7 from all the field. I think £7 on testing ground could be gold dust, really. And he comes on the back of a good run in a handicap hurdle behind Benson, who is a very talented handicapper himself. So I just think a combination of receiving weights, a good last run over the course. But this is a race that's usually won by something at the head of the market. I think the biggest price winner in recent years is Somerville Boy 3 years ago, ridden by some fella called Noel Fehily.
I'll tell you what, this show, it's seamless, isn't it, on this show? It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that was a great day for you, Noel, wasn't it? And of course, went on to win a blinder at Cheltenham.
He did, yeah. Went on to win the Supreme after. Very, very tough horse. He was disappointing in his run before the Tolworth at Cheltenham, I think it was. And we went to Cheltenham. We went to Tolworth, sort of not sure whether he was up to that league or not, but he was just a horse that started progressing and carried on progressing right through to Cheltenham.
We will find out exactly what's in Métier's locker. This is not a race to miss. Time for the big calls. First of 2021. You could have anything you like. And I was thinking about this as I was coming into the office this morning. It was pitch black in London, not a soul about. I had time to think about what I could do. And I thought about the two big calls that really got my goat last year. I've been banging this one for a little while, but when it comes to not just the festivals, but normal race days, I want to see Willie Mullins and Aidan O'Brien, the two top Irish jockeys, jock up their horses with the rest of the people. It's so tricky when you're trying to work out. It's just a nightmare. But that's not going to be it, actually. I want a better bridge. The BHA need to build a better bridge between punters and officials and, these professionals out there. We all know what we think about stewards in the last couple of races, whether they're still even on the track. Sometimes you don't get the H14s, which are the official, excuses, etc. But I think social media would get off jockeys' backs in particular if they had more information about why horses performed a certain way.
So you want to see them on the TV or something like that, do you, Dave? Or
even on their website, if you go to the BHA website, why they ran badly, it should all be there. And punters, somebody's punters. Listen, we're always going to have your £5 betting shop punters that just enjoy the slagging. I think that's something that's going to happen. But we can do better in racing to try and protect people from that, I think.
Yeah, although I'm going to put the counter argument in that I obviously dislike excuses quite a lot. And the last thing I need is a bundle more H14s of why horses run badly, because basically there is just endless list of excuses for poor runs for horses, from ground to scope badly to all sorts of different things.
It's not even so much poor runs. It's about why we don't need to be told why a horse performed a certain way. We've got, our analysts to do that, and our spotlight writers going forward and all that sort of stuff. Sometimes the BHA need to come out and better protect a horse that maybe hasn't gone through a gap or something that's been beat. Or, the ones that the punters are screaming at home. I think there's something that we can do better to protect them.
But what exactly can they tell you apart from what you've already seen yourself?
2021 was bad on that front, I think. 2020, was bad on that front, I think.
I mean, if you said, sometimes you get a H14 where the jockey comes in and says, jockey said horse was denied a clear run. Well, if I watch the race, I pretty much see that myself. Why do I need to be told?
Well, because you'd rather be called incompetent than bent, wouldn't you, I think? And there's a lot of people on Twitter in particular that are screaming, thinking that it's all fixed and all that sort of thing, which is absolute rubbish.
Which is complete nonsense. I mean, this is one of my sort of aims in racing, is to always believe what I'm seeing, because as a punter, I have to, as soon as you start overthinking it, thinking, oh, this is dodgy, you start overthinking it and messing it up yourself, you'll never win doing that.
Other jurisdictions do better than we do. I think I'll put my line under it there. I've gone on a bit about it now. Talking of excuses, this is your big call coming up now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't buy this excuse that maybe Epatante wasn't fully firing against Silver Streak at all. Obviously, she was below her best that she showed in the Champion Hurdle, but according to Racing Post ratings, she actually ran better in defeat when she was second to Silver Streak than she did when she won the fight in fifth. So she actually improved from her fight in fifth victory to finish second to Silver Streak. And I'm not sure she's as good as she first looked. Yes, she looked really good when she won the Champion Hurdle, but of course she is receiving a £7 mare's allowance, which is giving her a huge advantage anyway. And I think maybe we've seen the best of her. I don't think she'll win another Champion Hurdle. Silver Streak, for me, is a much underrated horse. He's a very, very good horse on his day. He won that race very, very well at Kempton. He was dominant from the front. Never looked like getting caught by Epatante, I didn't think. And his form stacks up with the best of them. If you look, I think he finished a short head second behind Song for Someone in the International Hurdle at Cheltenham on his previous start. And it's only that nobody seems to like that race, and Song for Someone's an unfashionable type. Why hasn't anyone turned around and said, oh, Silver Streak's now beat Epatante. That's a massive form boost for Song for Someone. That is the strongest piece of form going to the Champion Hurdle. Not one person said that. Everyone's just said, oh, well, Epatante was below form and Silver Streak just took advantage.
Is there a more likeable hurdler in Britain at the moment than Silver Streak? He's become something of a giant slayer, isn't he? Verdana Blue, of course, when he won at Kempton, and he showed he can go on the soft ground.
And the change of tactics, if they stick to it and ride him more promptly, that might really elevate him to another level, because he's always been a very, very strong finisher at the distance.
So big call, Epatante overhyped.
Overhyped, won't win another champion hurdle.
Brilliant. Pat Cooney, who will win the champion hurdle?
Well, I still think a mare will win the champion hurdle. The £7 is just such a big, invaluable asset to have. I'm like Graeme. I think Epatante, you can't be a backer of her at 2-1 at the moment. But I do think a mare may well win the champion hurdle. Honeysuckle, what's not to love about her? She's unbeaten. She won at the festival last year. She won the mare's hurdle. Well, there's no point winning that again, is there really, when you've got a champion hurdle very, very much up for grabs? Look at Honeysuckle, unbeaten, Henry de Bromhead, Rachel Blackmore. What a story that would be. The form's in the book. The ability's there. The one round Cheltenham. What more do you want? I think if it was non-runner, no bet, she'd be near enough fine for favouritism.
I think the way that the champion hurdle market is now playing out, she'd have her supporters, wouldn't she? That is a very interesting call. Will Kenny Alexander and Henry de Bromhead, the connections, be tempted to go the champion hurdle route? Okay, we've had our say. Let's go to Noel Fehily. Have we just been talking absolute cobblers? Pick the bones out of it, Noel. For example, when you're a jockey and you were riding, and you got one beat a short head that maybe got there late or something like that, and did you feel that you were protected enough on social media?
To be honest, I never took too much notice of it. You're going to get a slagging for winning, you get a slagging for losing. It never went over my head. I didn't take any notice of it. But look, I thought Epatante didn't jump well enough the other day. She's normally a very, very slick hurdler, and I'm not sure she's gone. I just think she didn't jump, and every time she jumped, her head came up in the air as if her back was hurting or something. So I wouldn't write her off just yet. But a question for Pat. I wonder, what did he think of Pansatista for the champion hurdle on her run the other day?
Well, yeah, she's very much in the equation as well, isn't she? But the mare's hurdle is it's there to be won for one of these horses, isn't it? So I was like you. I was trying to find a mare with this £7 allowance. She's currently 12-1, so she's actually a shorter price than Honeysuckle. But again, very much one to bear in mind. I mean, when you look at the market, Noel, Sharjah is second favourite, Sant Roy fourth, Aspire Tower, Abracadabra. They're coming here with flaws, aren't they? So this champion is a lot more open than it was a week ago. For sure. 2021
then, girl power again all the way. And I'll tell you what, Noel Fehily's getting the hang of this, isn't he? He's asking questions to Pat Cooney. Put him on the spot. Fantastic stuff.
He'll have you out of a job soon, Dave.
No, that won't be too hard, to be honest. I'm clinging on to it as we are. 2020's gone. There were your big calls. 3 o'clock, back at Esher we go. And it is a veterans handicap. Is this the final of this race?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, these are always wide open, aren't they? And I don't know, I'm not a big follower of the Veterans series. I love watching them. I think it's a marvellous initiative. However, from a punting perspective and from an analyst perspective, I always thought, I'm gonna have to go through, all the back class and all that sort of stuff. Keep it simple for me.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love these races. They're great, aren't they? And you get all the old favourites coming back, and they've all got a chance of winning. Yeah, I quite like last year's winner, Jepek. He won it last year on soft ground, probably be a little bit more testing at Sandown, but he's got form on heavy going. He's been pulled up on his last 2 runs. I'm not too worried about that, though. I'm sure
he's on his last winning mark, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm sure this would have been the target. I'm sure they would have been thinking, we'll go back to Sandown, have another go at that final. So the fact that he's been pulled up, not really that important to me. And they put Ben Godfrey on, claimed £7. And he's very good value for his £7, is Ben. So, yeah, Jepek for me.
Okay, I'm going to take a bit of a flyer in this with Valtor, Nicky Henderson, stable under a bit of a cloud, if you like, but there are still winners there to be found from the Henderson
quite
yard.
A lot of winners.
I know, exactly.
I think he's got something like a 23% strike rate, and 8 of his last 20-odd runners have won.
Well,
so
when you're the leading stable, that's probably that's probably going to be the case, isn't it?
There's an awful lot of trainers who swap places with that.
Oh, absolutely. and Valtor, for me, watching back at Warwick last time, they're trying to make him into a veteran, and he hated the track. He was going terribly out to his right all the time. He will like this. Whether he's quite got it in him still to do, I don't know. But around about 10-11-1, I like him. Noel Fehily, did you look at this? How do you approach these veterans races?
Yeah, it was a great race for these old horses, but very open race. Cross Park is always knocking on the door. He's what I'd be probably watching, but I wouldn't have a great opinion on it.
Yeah, Cross Park's got to be there or thereabouts. Pat Cooney, isn't he?
Yeah, you'd say so. Very much hard to draw a line through any of these, isn't it? I thought Lake Romantic was interesting. A horse I'm not overly familiar with, given he's a veteran. I think he's had 11 races over fences. And when I saw the entries, I was like, Lake Romantic, oh God, hard to place that name, but he's got solid form. The one I've ended up fancying is Potter's Legend, where Lucy Wadham and Jack Quinlan, second off this mark last time out, 1-3-5. I think Jack Quinlan's an excellent rider, very much in the Noel style, really, just sitting quietly, comes through the field with them. He's only got 10 stone 11. It'd appeal for me, but I think you might need a couple of darts at this race really to solve it. But Potter's Legend, as good as anything for me.
A couple of darts from 4 veterans in the veterans final. Right then, we go up to Ayrshire. It's there, 3:15, and really good staying handicap here. Small field, but a couple of favourites. I thought Taking Risks would just win this. He wasn't done many favours in the rehearsal chase, I think. The race he had won the previous year, and I think he's only that price because of the run he had. He's definitely a couple of lengths better than that. This is a drop in class. Sean Quinlan's ride.
Yeah, it's his bag, isn't it, really? Taking risks, air, heavy ground.
Yes.
He came off a wind-up, didn't he, last time when he finished 4th behind York Hill. Maybe that is going to bring him back to form. I thought he had a major chance. My only thing was the price. He obviously is going to be fairly short, and I thought he had a very similar chance to Manier, is it called?
Manetti.
Manetti.
This is 3 times we've rehearsed that.
Manetti, yeah, sorry, I keep calling it Manier for some reason. Manetti, who is a similar sort of horse, really. He loves slogs on heavy ground, but he's a little bit less exposed than Taking Risks. He's had a few less runs over fences, so I think he might have a bit more to offer. And Brian Hughes is riding 10 stone.
Yeah, practice your M's now. You're thinking of Metier, aren't you? Brian Hughes, then. I want to come to Noel with this. I spoke to a couple of jockeys over the Christmas period, and I said, it's interesting that Brian's riding this, or Richard Johnson's riding this. Do we read too much into that as punters? Do you think they're just happy to go and take the 150 quid?
I think Brian Hughes is an unbelievable worker, and he will go anywhere for a ride. He's one of the busiest jockeys. Well, he's probably the busiest jockey in the north. That's why he's champion jockey. But he's very, very hungry. He'll go anywhere for rides. He's obviously very, very lightweight as well. So 10 stone is not a problem to him. And as I say, he's just an unbelievable worker.
Yeah, you do sometimes see a top jockey next to an interesting horse and think, ooh, is this a tip in itself? Not often the case when you speak to the pros. Great insight from Noel. Pat Cooney, what wins the 3:15 at Ayr?
By elimination, I've gone for Strong Economy. Now, this is his first stab at a Class 2, but he's won round there. He's won on heavy ground. He's only got 10 stone. He's getting nearly 2 stone from Taking Risks. And he's in a bit of form. So, I respect Taking Risks, but I'd rather be getting nearly 2 stone than giving 2 stone on this sort of surface. So Strong Economy for me, but I don't think anything will be finishing fast up the running in this race.
3:15 then, small field, 3 tips. It shows what sort of race it is. Let's bring in the guys at myracing.com then. Check out the website for expert analysis and tips. In the 150, they're giving another chance to Moonlighter, and in the 3:15 Air, Taking Risks. 2021, a good time to sign up to our sponsors Bet365 because we've got a referral code that still continues. Type in SHOUT365, minimum £5 bet deposit for up to 100 bet credits. Terms and conditions apply. Right then, time for your weekend winners, the 4-timer. Let's give Noel Fehily the floor. Give us one, Noel.
Metier tomorrow is my nap. I think he's a very, very good horse, great horse in the flat, and I was impressed his first 2 hurdle runs. I think he'll take a lot of beating in the tall works.
I think the viewers will be loving to hear confidence about that chat from Noel. Graeme Rodway.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the Veterans Chase, 3 o'clock at Sandown. I think Jeppet can do it again, 2 years in a row.
Happy days. OK, Pat Cooney.
12:40 Sandown for me, Stormy Island #1. On the face of it, a bit disappointing. Been beaten twice at odds on this season and ran in a real hot race at Cheltenham last time out. This is a big, big class drop, and she's got 13 or 15 pound in hand on the field on her best form. So I think this is a straightforward task. Stormy Island for me in the 12:40 at Sandown Park.
And in the following race, the 1:15 at Sandown, look no further than Sir Jack Yates. Watch him in the Grand Sefton last time. If he gets his own way out in front, I don't think that they'll see which way they go James Bowen on. There is your 4-timer on New Year's weekend. Right then, that's it. The very first What a shout of 2021. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Noel Fehily. Noel, honestly, I mean that. Thanks very much. I think the viewers will love this show. I mean, considering it's early doors after a New Year's Eve, you don't look in bad shape.
No, I didn't have a very late one, but there's not a lot to do around here. All the pubs are closed and everything else is closed. So, no, it wasn't a late night.
Soon may that change, my friend. And obviously with the syndicate, we wish you lots of luck. We'll be looking out for some of the top ones. I guess it's all about the Patents network for the owners out there.
Yeah, I hope so. And we're hoping for a good run from Muckamore today. Hopefully he's a horse that can go back to the top. We're hoping he'd be a good horse anyway. So.
All the best then for 2021 to Noel Fehily. All the best to you, my friend, as well.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, and to you.
Happy days. We'll be back doing plenty of these, won't we?
Hopefully, yeah. 2021 should be a good year for both of us, and for Noel and Pat, of course.
There we are. Graeme Rodway, delighted to have him back. And Pat Cooney, great year ahead.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope we're all happy and we're all healthy, and we can throw in a bit of wealth as well. That would be very agreeable.
Yes, indeed. 2021 promises much. Listen, guys, buckle up. January, February, probably going to be a rough ride, isn't it, out there? But racing will continue to lift your spirits. We'll be here every Friday doing What a Shout for you. Get your comments in below. Don't forget to download the free Racing Post app as ever, the must-have app. You can do that on the Google Play Store or the App Store itself. Don't forget, safe gambling. It's what it's all about this weekend. Tough ground out there. Take your time. Hone on in. Myself, Dave Orton, signing off. Enjoy the sport.